to Wiri Banter. It's our first episode ever. So we just want to welcome you guys. Get cozy, grab your drink, you poo, whatever that may be.
Yep, absolutely.
Take a little sip
Yeah.
and sit back and relax because we're about to, just have a good time here. I am Paola.
I'm Monica.
And we've known each other for like ever at this point.
I know, man. Like about 14 years.
Yeah, I think
give
it
or
was
take.
early 2000s.
Woo.
You know, we're like young, aspiring students,
and we're still young. We're still young.
Yeah. True that.
But back then we didn't know what we were doing.
Had
as
no
far
clue.
as music and what life was gonna be in the next like 14 years.
14 years.
You know, so I think it's one of those things where it's we made a friendship and we were like, God, we hope this is lasting and things like that. Got to see her get married and things. Got to see her start her own band, her cumbia band. So I want you to tell them a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, for a really long time, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Like you said, going into Booker T, I knew that it was something to do with music, and I knew that was my passion, but I just didn't know exactly how I was going to pursue that. And I think it was like my junior year of high school that I was like, oh, I can put teaching music and music together, because I tell everybody my plan from high school was to be a music educator. I actually wanted to be a middle school choir director.
I remember that
because my choir director in middle school just like changed my life. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be that. I want to be that person. And go to college. I studied under Dr. McClung at UNT.
Shout out to
UNT.
What is it?
Yeah. So if you're a UNT alum like me, in theory, about to be,
there we go. He doesn't have a camera on him, guys, but
he's smiling.
He is smiling for y'all.
Yes. But if you are an alum from UNT, I want you to like put your talents out, and like on the count of 3, you're just gonna caw, okay? Because that's just what we do. 1, 2, 3, caw! Okay, thank you. Yeah, and then
we had that moment.
But anyway, so I 100% thought I was gonna be a middle school choir director, but you know how life has its ways of showing you where you need to be. I was working at Mi Cocina at the time, and if you've ever been to Mi Cocina, if it's your birthday, they will sing Las Mañanitas for you.
Yep.
And they will give you a little flan, and they will put a little candle there. And
they got some amazing drinks up there, too.
Period.
The Mambo Taxi, just saying Mambo Taxi.
Only need 3, or else, you'll need a taxi, and you'll mambo right into it. So I don't remember who told me that, but shout out to the waiter who told me that story. But anyway, so I'm over there singing Las Mañanitas, and a busboy apparently was like with a Sonora Dinamita. He was just like, hey, they need a singer. Like, we need you to like audition or like go and like be a singer. And I'm like,
said, this is my time to shine,
You need a singer. Okay. So I went and I met this man, Carlos Chivir, at a McDonald's, and just like listened to the tracks. I was like, oh, this is shit I grew up on.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, let's do it, And when I told my family, they're like, yeah, like that's our shit. Like, let's go dance, like do the thing. And so, yeah, my first ever gig, I don't even remember where it was. It was like in some like bar club place in Dallas, like East Dallas, maybe. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But it was a disaster. I failed miserably.
No.
I like forgot the lyrics. I was just like a nervous wreck. And I was like, well, I tried, whatever. It's
that's
fine.
The point, though,
it's
ultimately.
Fine.
And your family's always been really supportive. I love the fact that your mom and your dad will go and dance and have a good time.
Yeah.
Have a good time regardless of where they are, what kind of event it is. So like birthday parties.
Hell yeah, let's go. And so I think that that's where I get a lot of my energy from. One time, me and my sisters, we like went to brunch and had like a little sisters day, and I was telling them, I was like, yeah, most of the time when I'm performing, I'm like, what would my sisters do? Like, how would they respond to what this person is doing? Like, how would they hype them up, And like, I just be going, and I'm like, honestly, I just do what y'all do at home. And they're like, what? No, we do what you do at home, but you do it on the main stage. Like, you're good. And I'm like, yeah, but I think, family support is definitely huge. And I mean, you'll talk on that because your family is really big on supporting you as well.
We tight.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah, exactly. And did the whole cumbia thing for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and was like, okay, this is really my calling. Like, I really do love singing cumbia,
Yeah.
mainly because it is a part of my tradition. It is part of like how my family gathers, and we do communion that way. And it's just like, okay, this is where I need to be. Junior year of college was like, shoot, maybe I don't be a teacher. Maybe I do the band thing. And senior year came along and had a great student teaching experience in Richardson ISD, made a lot of connections there, and ultimately decided to just start my band.
Yep.
And give myself 2 years. And I was like, if I don't make anything happen in 2 years, then it's just gonna have to be what it is. And at least I can say I tried. Yep. At least I can say that I put my efforts into my dream. And if that wasn't what came out of it, then I still have my plan A, because teaching was always my plan. And so, yeah, I definitely have to emphasize that teaching was always plan A. And when it came down to it, it was like, okay, teaching is still plan A, but now starting my own band is coming in. And so it's going to be plan A too. So I gave myself 2 years to just like get my foot into the door of the business.
And you didn't get your foot like in the, you freaking kicked your way inside.
Girl, I was bartending at a place called Lupita's Cafe. I know if you live in Dallas, if you live in the East
Everybody
Dallas area, you know Lupita's Cafe. And so I know the owners. Shout out to Hans and Moon. I love you guys because they really gave us that first show ever.
Yeah.
And it was nerve-wracking. It was crazy to even think that like we only had 8 songs to cover like 3 hours.
Yeah. But as a spectator there, because I got to go to your first performance, it was a lot of fun. Like, I think because of you, I started loving cumbia music a lot more, or just music in general within your band, you know? And I mean, I was dancing. I was having a really good time. Y'all need to check her out. Like, that's the thing. I will stand for this girl over and over again, 100%. They put on an amazing show. Her and her band are amazing. And you haven't said your name.
Yeah. Because I'm getting there, okay? We're leading up. I'm giving them the whole story. You have to know the background.
You just need to understand.
You gotta understand the background to understand where this came from. So, yeah. So our first gig was at Lupita's, and the name actually came to me at Lupita's Cafe because I was working there.
Yeah.
After a gig that I had with Carlos Chivir there, the owners was like, hey, you're cute. We need a bartender. You want to come bartend for us? And I was like, shoot, I do need extra money and I know how to bartend. So sign me up. And so, yeah, that definitely led us to where we are now. But our band name is Sabor Puro. And my people who know Sabor Puro, they already know.
They already know
If I
call.
say Sabor, they're going to say Puro. So if you're driving by somebody who knows Sabor Puro, just know that they're listening to this and they're probably yelling out.
Yeah.
Because at this point, the real diehard fans, like, I won't even ask for them to do it. They'll just do it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, my teacher heart. My
people, they're
just
here.
So fulfilled, because not only did I start Sabor Puro and made that dream a reality, I went back into the classroom. And so I taught elementary music at Richardson ISD on a campus that was Title I, lots of refugee students, low income families. And so I was still able to like fulfill that dream of like giving back to my community, because I grew up in the hood and off Dallas, shout out. And so I just knew that was something that I wanted to do. And so for the last 5 years, I've been teaching elementary students, pre-K through 6th grade, and has been super fulfilling. But it was time.
Yeah.
Our campus got consolidated. If you didn't hear the news, a lot of campuses in Texas are closing due to funding from Austin and other political things that I won't get into right now, or else we're about to get heated.
Right.
Stay tuned to our spicy takes. Though.
Right, there you go, right? Foreshadowing the next one.
Because, lots of thoughts on that. But I took it as a sign from God to say, like, hey, Sabor Puro is in a place where you can take it to the next level, or you can leave it how it is and continue teaching. And there was no better way to like say goodbye than having the decision made for you.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And so I allowed that to happen and was just like, okay, gonna give myself 2 more years, just like I did at the beginning, to see what we can do. And right now we're working on an album that people have been patiently waiting for, and we're ready to deliver that. And so we'll see where that takes us. But you just released an
I
album, your
did. I
third.
did. The
Ooh!
EP.
Now
So
tell the people who you
all
are.
right, all right. Well, ultimately, I'm Monica, right? Nice to meet everybody. Nah. So mainly my thing is I've always done music since I was a kid, 5 years old. I started singing. Um, did the whole choir thing, and that's kind of how we met
Oh yeah,
ultimately in high
I was a little
school.
choir nerd too.
Yeah. I mean,
Still
shout out
am.
to all of the choir nerds because we still are nerds. I
Yeah.
mean, still, like to this day, there's a lot of people we know from high school and like, like 10 years later, they're still doing the same thing as far as the music.
Dude.
And, I love it. I love that kind of culture.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, I did the choir thing. I started in 7th grade. I had a middle school teacher too that was like really inspiring. Sandra Davis, if you're listening, shout out to you because the credit goes to you and your husband and really, you know, letting my family know that there was a purpose in my singing because I was in the choir, but I acted like I was solo singing. So
we didn't understand the concept of blending
yeah,
our
at that
voices
point,
yet.
but after a while, she helped me with my audition to Booker T. Washington. And of course, I was on the waiting list for a little bit. I went in my sophomore year to Booker T. Paola is actually the one that, influenced me to go into Latin American ensemble. And we did it for what, 2 years for me? I was 2.
Yeah,
and then, because you're younger than me.
Because I went in sophomore year. And that was the year we studied under Congo.
Yeah.
not willingly, but
no, absolutely not.
But it was definitely a blessing in disguise because another shout out, Congo was our mentor, still
Absolutely.
is, and has definitely forged a way for young students to be able to perform Latin music in our community.
And all different types, not just, the Mexican side of things. There was a lot of different cultures within that genre or in that band, really. And we have to say like a huge thank you because I think if we wouldn't have been advised by him, I think we would be very different people.
Yeah, I think that era of our lives could have been a lot more depressing than they.
Who you telling?
Another thing we won't really go into because it's too spicy to talk about right now.
Yeah, we'll eventually bring it up in another kind of version of it, but no, we're good. Yeah. No, it's okay. So graduated from Booker T. Washington. Went to Dallas Baptist University. They used to have the guns up. I'm not sure if they still do because of all the stupid stuff that's happening in this world. Lord. But if you're from Dallas Baptist University or from Booker T. Washington, hey everybody, or UNT, hello. Y'all are part of the family now. Yes. So, but got my bachelor's degree in music business with the focus on vocal performance. I've always been singing. That's kind of the thing I've been good at the most in life. And I used to tell people, I'm like, if I'm not singing or if I'm not pursuing music in a way that is fulfilling, then it's not really much worth anything else. Right. Because I can't cook worth crap. So, I mean, if you're wanting me to cook or, regular teach, yeah, no, I'm good. But actually started teaching about, how many years ago was that? Back in 2019, I believe.
Was it 2019?
I feel like it's way further than that.
2017.
There we go.
Because I graduated 2017 from UNT, and that's when I was doing my whole student teaching.
Yeah. And I kept telling a lot of people, I'm like, I'm not going to be a teacher. Like, it's not in me to teach. I don't have the patience. And then sure enough, I come talking to you and you're like, well, actually,
there's a job if you want it.
So I worked for Richardson ISD as a vocal coach. So shout out to them. It was very, very fulfilling. And so ultimately made me want to teach more. So I freelance on the side of, performing and doing all of the recording that I do. But yeah, I started doing my voice lessons and then eventually turned it into basic piano and voice lessons. And it's all thanks to you, really, because I was not going to do it. You influenced me once again.
Yes.
But yeah,
just trying to help the homies out.
You got to, and she looks out for me. She's been there for me. since the very beginning. So ultimately, a lot of the things that influenced me was the friendship that we created whenever we were younger. So thank you for that.
Cat hug. Bringing it back.
No, and so then ultimately I started singing as a track singer. A lot of people, when I say that, they're like, oh, karaoke. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, no.
Because karaoke, I would have the lyrics and that would be very helpful,
yeah.
you know? But
bro, I don't know. I don't know if anybody else out there is like me, but I can't stand karaoke.
Mm-mm.
I can't stand it.
No, but
it's like I'll do it with the people I love because I'm down for my people, but don't invite me to go karaoke. I'm not gonna enjoy it. I will go, but I
it's because you already know the notes, right? You already know the melody, and so when you hear other people do it, it's just kind of like, it's an uncontrollable like twitch that we don't.
It's like, yeah, no, I don't know what it is about it. I think mainly because a lot of the times the track doesn't line up with the lyrics,
right?
And I am a visual person.
Yeah,
like
it has to match.
Even if I know the entrance, if the words don't come out when they need to come out, I'm gonna say it late. Like I'm gonna say it when they come out, and then I'm like, oh man, I know. And singers already have a bad rep for not like being able to be on time. Like,
yeah,
I would get my entrance. But yeah, it's confusing sometimes. But
no, I get you. I really do. It's a product of my raising, right? So ultimately, that's where I had to start off to get the nerves kind of out of the way. I think I took you one time to karaoke when we were younger, and you were like,
said, I will go with the people I love.
But this was after us like doing caroling for Booker T, and I was like, hey, you know what would be more fun?
More singing.
So but I started off as a track singer. I would do little gigs here and there. Then I started doing the national anthem for a lot of different things. So like FC Dallas was one. I still do the Dallas Mavericks, ever so often the Texas Rangers, and then I'm waiting for the Cowboys to, give me a call because
the Stars, right?
I'm ready. Yeah, the Stars. I recently started doing about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I'm a Tejano award-winning artist.
Period. Okay, say that again for the people in the back.
Tejano award-winning artist times 3. Nah.
Okay. She said not once, not twice, but 3 times.
No, but yeah, so I record my music in Tejano. We do kind of want to do a little bit of an English and Spanish next time. I just released the first part of Tres, which is the EP. So if you haven't checked it out, I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. Shameless plug. That is the very first part of our album Tres.
My band how many parts are there going to be?
I think it's just going to be the 2, because I think we did that last time, and a lot of people would let us know, like, hey, within the 5 songs, this one's my favorite. And I'm like, okay, that works perfectly for me. So it's kind of like almost I'm letting my fans or letting the people that are listening to my music pick, because I can sit here all day and be like, I like this song, I don't like this song, and you know what it's all about,
for sure.
So yeah, that's a little old me.
Yeah, that's a little bit about us. And so now we're venturing into the podcast world.
I know. I'm over here like, am I shaking?
I know. I'm like, do I look at the camera?
Right? I'm like, which way do we go?
It's so weird not holding the mic as a singer. Like, that is like the biggest thing for me. It's like how to hold the mic and being able to be heard.
Yeah.
While having a mic. And so like, I'm like, what do I do with my hands?
I know. I'm just like,
the little tiny hands.
But yeah, so ultimately, that's a little bit about us. If you do have any questions about, Paola or myself, and even Theory, if you want to ask Theory some questions about him, we'll make sure to put a picture with him on all of our social media.
Yes, and that's a great segue, because our plan is to definitely engage with you guys through social media. So go ahead and pause right here, go to Instagram, and look up Wiri Banter. We're also on Facebook. We'll soon have a TikTok as well, so that we can, join the trends or whatnot. Hopefully it doesn't get canceled by the government, but hopefully we can connect there too. But for the meantime, we are on Facebook and on Instagram at Wiri Banter. And so if you have any questions about any of what we've talked about so far,
just reach out,
DM us. We also have an email, wittybanter@gmail.com.
That's right.
So if you have any inquiries or you want to talk about something on our show, let us know, because we will also be having guest artists, people who work in the community.
Absolutely.
So if you are listening now and you think that that is something you may want to do, then please reach out. We would love to have you on our podcast as well. And we would love to have a conversation with you as well, because we are going to have a segment where we answer all of your burning questions. So go ahead and put them in our DM.
So, just so that we can start talking about how this all came to be, because yes, we are two best friends that have grown up together, and it's great.
Kind of join the same path separately. And
yeah,
doing the same thing, kind of.
We meet in the middle every now and then. So there's some gigs that we do where I'm like, hey, and you're like, what's up? So I think it's really cool to have that with you, but also building a podcast with you. I think we've been talking about this for quite some time.
Yeah, it's definitely been something that I've been wanting to do for a while. So just kind of, it was another affirmation that I needed, that like, if I was a teacher, I would not be able to be here right now.
Absolutely.
If I was still committed to the classroom, this wouldn't be possible, really.
Right.
Because it is a Monday morning and I am here in Grand Prairie.
Yes, at the Epic, everybody.
Yes.
So they have a podcast booth here, which is pretty phenomenal too. And then a little bit about the Epic, they also have a recording studio, and not a lot of people know about it. And it's actually really good. I've recorded 2 of my songs here from, I think, the first album.
Ooh.
And those are like some people's like favorite songs out of the album. So I'm like, just
nice.
So we're here at the Epic. We're in Grand Prairie.
Yeah.
And this is where I grew up. This is my hometown. I've been, born in Arlington, but raised here my entire life in the same house on the corner.
Same. Me in Dallas, but same.
Yeah.
Same house.
So,
different house, but same house for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people would tell me, they'd be like, would you ever move? I'm like, no, not really. There's a lot of things like growing from, this small town. It used to be a lot smaller. And now it's just like, we have like an indoor water park across the street from here that I'm looking straight at right now. And then
I know when we have the meetings upstairs, I'm just looking at the people doing the surfing.
Yeah. No, and then now there's actually, I'm like hard plugging Grand Prairie right now. Visit us. No.
Rep your hometown, girl.
Right. Gotta represent. No, but they also just opened up Andretti's, which is like the inside go-kart thing. It's like an arcade. So I'm like, I want to check that out.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it is really cool. Me and Christian, we're fans of like arcades and just like rides and, the thrill. And so, we try to seek out things like that. So.
Yeah. No, but ultimately getting back to how this podcast came to be, one of the things that we're doing at the Epic is ultimately, getting people to come. Right. And right away I was like, I already know who I want to do a podcast with. I already know. This is already this has already been predestined. And so I reached out and was just like, hey, you want to do it? And you're like, let's go. So
I was like, are you kidding me? This is a dream come true.
Yep. And so then, ultimately the name we had to kind of figure out, right? So do you want to explain the name to everybody?
Shout out to my cousin Rocio, because she definitely put a lot of input in this. So I was hanging out with my family. We're playing a board game. And I was like just telling them what's been going on since I quit my job. And and they're like, oh my gosh, that's exciting. Super excited for the podcast. And we kind of gave them a little sneak peek of one of our songs. So they were hyped. And I was like, all right, guys, but I need your help with something. We need a name. We don't have a name for the podcast yet. And it's like, they're like, okay, so what are you trying to do? And I was like, okay, like culture, music. I mean, we're best friends. So like, we're just going to be talking. So I don't know. It's a podcast. I don't know. Like, we're Latinas. Let's go. And my cousin, she was like, she gave out a few ideas. And then Wiri was one of the things that like was shot out. And if you're Latino and specifically Mexican, in the Mexican culture, your tias or your mom when you're trying to like get out of being in trouble, or like you're explaining yourself, and your mom or your tias are gonna be like, puro wiri, get out of my face, And wiri means kind of like you're just bullshitting around, like you're talking in circles, you're just going off about nonsense, anything. Yeah, anything and nothing at the same time. And it could be fun, it can be all sorts of things, but in this case it's just us just talking about anything and everything,
Yeah.
and letting you guys into our brains a little bit.
Because there's a lot up there for both of us. There's a lot to talk about.
And so we wanted to mix both cultures of like the Latina side of things and the American side of things, because we're both Mexican Americans.
Yep.
And so kind of putting in that whole like, oh, I am Mexican, but I was born in America and now I'm code switching and I have to do this and that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, our raíz, our culture is Mexican. And so we wanted to pay homage to that, and banter, because obviously that's like English version of Wiri.
It's like a Tex-Mex version of it, or English Mexican version of it. I mean, we're Texans.
Yeah, we're Texans.
I'm gonna be like, it's Tex-Mex.
It's Tex-Mex, yeah.
Well,
and so that's the origin of our name.
Yeah.
And
well, the reason why she brings up the sides of it too is because, Sylvia. God
damn it. No, it's okay. So let me explain something. I have two names, Silvia, Paola, and Sylvia is speaking of code switching, Sylvia is my English name that I use in the classroom and professionally in the corporate world. And so Monica met me as Sylvia because that's just how I go by in English worlds, And
then Paola
is like
whole nother entity.
She has her little wig on.
Her Sasha Fierce. Her Sasha Fierce.
She does her thing. But it is my stage name as well as my middle name. So a lot of people get confused because they're like, wait, I thought your name was Sylvia. And it's like, yeah, but you told me your name was Paola. Yeah, that's also my name. But yeah, so stage name is Paola. And so if I'm doing anything artistically,
Paola it is.
Yeah. So if Monica says Sylvia, she's still talking about me.
Sorry, guys.
But she's referring to like the 14-year-old she met at Booker T. Okay.
I'll keep it with Paola. I'll keep it with Paola. I'll try my best.
And I'm gonna try not to correct you. But...
she said, first of all. No, so ultimately when you're bringing that up, it's because, yes, we're Mexican Americans, but I grew up as what they call a no sabo kid, which means basically the language, the culture, everything is kind of different for myself. Paola grew up with a lot more of the culture, with the influences, speaking Spanish, and on the opposite side of things, how you're saying code switching. I think that's both where we're trying to figure out each other, right?
Yeah.
So when I started singing Tejano music, I didn't know Spanish. I didn't really fluently speak it. I took classes and I did the best that I could, but there's only so much that sticks, right? Yeah. And if it doesn't stick, it just doesn't stick.
Yeah.
And it's two sides to the coin. Ultimately, the American side of it, and then the Hispanic, the Mexican side of it. So we want our listeners to understand, like, if you don't understand one thing and if you want to ask about it or anything like that, you can ask both of us as far as the American side and the Hispanic side. But yeah, from a no sabo kid to...
I know I am interested to like hear other people's perspectives, because every time I talk about this topic, like there's so many people who identify with that, dude, I know I grew up with La Chancla at home, but then at school, like nobody else knew what I was talking about. Or like I have a friend from high school, this was after I had my whole little like I like to call it identity like rebirth. Because in middle school I went through a whole phase of like hanging out with white people, wanted to be white, like wanted to have a boyfriend in 6th grade, but like as Latinos know, you can't have a boyfriend until you're quinceañera, girl.
Or when you're married, you can't have
you can't have a boyfriend until you're married. Wait, hold on.
No. Some people are a little dramatic. No. I'm not gonna state or name names, but
they know who they are. No, my parents were definitely like the type of people who stand by tradition, and we still are very traditional with our customs and like what we do. But one of the main things was like, you can't have a boyfriend until you're 15, until you have your quinceañera. And if not, then all of that is going to be taken away because you're not a señorita anymore. Like you didn't respect yourself enough to like not have a boyfriend. And so, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens up there, because you're like, oh, but all of my friends have a little boyfriend and I just want to hold hands and want him to take me to my class.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
Or like
So
the cell phone thing too. That was a whole nother thing.
yeah.
But I mean, our generation grew up a little differently than this one.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, yeah, I'm just like, how do you
I
have
had
a
a
cell
little
phone?
payphone. I had a little payphone. I had to add a card, and be like texting my boyfriend secretly. Like,
Yeah. Or my cell phone would end up with my parents. They would take it at night because
mm-hmm.
they were like, you're not going to be talking to nobody that I don't know, you
Right.
know?
No boys,
No boys.
especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that whole, like, I would be hiding my phone, or like when my mom would call me to pick me up, I would go like hella far to answer the phone and be like, bueno, sí, ama, aquí estoy, no me mira, ¿dónde está?
Yeah.
Just so that I could speak Spanish without my white friends being like,
What's going on?
which they wouldn't do, but in my head, my perception of like
Yeah.
the Spanish language, because I was hanging out with the Hollister gang, like,
Well, yeah,
like I
because
didn't have money for Hollister, Aeropostale, like all of
none of that.
those
Nope.
things, like,
Everybody wanted to be a brand.
right.
Everybody. I'm like, dude, if I have clothes that's hand me down and they're not like holes inside of it, I think we're good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
At
we're
this
okay. And it
point,
smells clean, you know? I was like, I know, that side of it too, because that's all I knew. In
mm-hmm.
my neighborhood, we had a lot of different people. We had a lot of different kinds of, Hispanic people, white, African American,
Mm-hmm.
Indian. And so I was more interested at the time when I was a kid, because when you're a kid, you don't know what's going on. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know the trends or things like that. Now, middle school, that's when it gets hard.
Yeah.
But my whole life, I was surrounded by everybody else except for my culture.
Mm.
And for me, I'm like, okay, well, this is who I am. This is who, you know, I got to grow up with. This is who I became friends with. And then I get to high school or middle school, and it's different. People are starting to, be in cliques, or they're starting
Mm-hmm.
to be in their own
Or
little.
like hugs was like the biggest thing. Like,
Yeah.
I never hugged anybody in elementary school other than like my family,
Yeah, because it
maybe
was
my
saved for
best
that.
friend, like maybe, but like I really didn't hug anybody other than the people I trusted. And then you go to middle school and like everybody's just like, hey, and you're
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh, okay, hey,
Well, also like the
like
sleepover stuff too. Like the
I was
sleepover
never
stuff.
allowed to.
Never at all. And I mean, I think that's just kind of just the Hispanic culture in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, so growing up, we kind of grew up the same, but in a different aspect,
yeah,
a different point of view.
yeah.
So for me, I always felt like I couldn't even get in the club, of being Mexican. And then for you, it's like,
I
well,
had to.
You had to kind of switch it up with different kind of people,
Yeah,
chameleonize yourself.
Yeah, no, and that's truly what I identify as. I am a chameleon. I was hanging out with two of my friends at the pool like 2 weeks ago, and like I am very observant. I like to consider myself a very good listener.
Yeah.
And so if the opportunity arises for me to tell a story and for me to talk, like I will take the mic and I will talk all day long. Like my family used to call me La Perica because I wouldn't stop talking. And so yes, I can do both. I can listen and sit back, and like my friend was like, "Damn, like we took over the conversation. Like we were talking the entire time. Like you were just so quiet." And I was like, "Yeah, there was no
Because you
point."
want to listen.
Or yeah, because I was like, "You guys are just great conversationalists, and I just want to listen. Like one of my favorite things is just to listen to podcasts, and this is a live one right here.
Exactly.
Like so. I do identify myself as a chameleon. Like I can integrate into different communities because of it.
Yeah. It's like my dad. My dad does the same thing because he was a mailman, or he is a mailman.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like whoever he was in, like dealing with, older people, younger people,
Yeah.
whatever race it was. My dad knew how to talk, knew how to be respectful of their culture, of who they are as a person. And for me, it took getting older to kind of figure that out, because I didn't even know who I was.
Right, that part. And I think knowing who you are makes it so much easier to be able to talk to everybody freely and respectfully. Like,
Mhm.
because back then, like me hiding, like I wouldn't dare speak Spanish in front of like anybody who wasn't Mexican. And then eventually finding my little Mexican crew in middle school and being like, oh man, like this is where I come from.
Yeah.
Like, this is so cool.
And you
Like,
brought
and
some of them
really
with you to Booker T.
to Booker T,
you know?
exactly. And so it was just like, and then finding Latin ensemble as like outlets to really express my culture,
Yeah.
and just like really sit with like who I am in my identity
And
as
to
a
be proud of
Mexican
it.
American. Yeah, and to be proud of it, not hide the fact that I know how to speak Spanish, not hide the fact that I dance cumbia and sing in Spanish, you know, like stuff
Yeah.
like that, that just like.
And meanwhile, I'm over here and I'm like, I want to be just like her. Like, I just want to be able to speak Spanish. I want to be able to dance.
Right.
You know?
It took me understanding that I did have it good because I knew 2 languages.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be like, Mom, Dad, why don't you learn English? Like, I'm tired of reading these, like, translating everything for you. Like, learn English.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like, dang, I could have a little licensing for law because I was reading all of these papers, you know, and like I have a lot of understanding of different things because I was having to translate a lot of really important documents. And not only me, my sisters, my brother, like I know that we all had that same background. And now I'm like, thank you for not learning English because I wouldn't have had those experiences and I wouldn't have like really had to use my brain in that way. And so yeah, now I'm thankful for my culture. I'm thankful for my parents, like putting that sacrifice to bring us here, and like, you know, they made their way here without knowing any English, like without community, like they had their family and that was it. And that's honestly,
and then they created their own community basically.
Yeah, exactly. And so now we're here.
Yeah,
we here, Mom and Dad.
We made it. No, but yeah, so very different sides of the coin, but we are on the same coin, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But let's tell them like how we met, you know, because I'm sure your story is very much.
I know. I want to hear your side of the story too, because we'll see. We'll see how things change. Let's see how we remember this.
Oh my God, the pictures, man.
Oh, so I have a signature face that you'll probably see on Instagram. It's like wide open mouth and like you'll see it never changes. It'll it's a theme for me.
Oh, it's perfect. And then I'm always like the serious one. That's why we said when we first started the podcast, we were like, you know, the theater mask, the one that's like super super happy, and the other ones that are super super frowny.
Guess who's who?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm usually a happy person, but no.
Next to me.
Next to you, I mean, you're just, it's like, what is it, Inside Out? You're like joy, and I'm over here like sadness.
You're sadness.
So, I
okay,
mean,
next time you need to wear a turtleneck.
I know, right? We're gonna do all of that. I'm gonna paint my hair blue. She's gonna have like
a whole pixie cut
sticking up. But yeah, so ultimately, yes. Okay. So your signature face has always been just super happy, just super outgoing. And then you'll see a picture of me, and I'm pretty sure we'll share it, but you'll see a picture of me and I'm just like,
yeah, literally it's like, and she's just like,
yeah,
where's our food?
Well, to be fair, that was like the trip for Colorado, right?
Yeah.
It was my very first year at Booker T. And I knew no one because of the fact that I was a sophomore coming in, and everybody else had already, like I said, they had made their pacts with people. And it's
cut their hand with blood.
Basically, they did the whole thing, the ritual, you know. So
you had nobody to share the blood with.
They're like, you can't eat with us. You can't sit here, you know. So
no. The people at Booker T were really nice.
They were nice.
Is hard. It is hard as a high school student, regardless.
Yeah. No, people in my age group, like they were very sweet, but they already knew you know, who they wanted to spend time with. And so I came in the same year that you came in, and so we were both new to this whole thing. And so I was like, well, you know what? They don't have to be my age. Like, it's just a year off, you know? And ultimately, like, there's a story behind this, and I know you know, but, like, you go ahead. Okay. You go ahead and dish it out.
So it was a fall day at Booker T.
2009.
2009. We're getting ready for the all-state process. And for those of you who are in the arts in Texas or went through an art program, whether it's band, orchestra, or choir, I believe also theater and dance go through this type of thing. But it's basically a competition to get into a Texas choir for the choir people. And so we were in that in that process, it always happens at the beginning of the school year. You like go to summer camps, learn the music,
Yeah.
and then
And
you continue to rehearse it until you make the audition. And we had already gone to the audition, I believe.
Yeah.
And
at this point,
we both didn't make it, so they put us in a closet.
Oh
I'm
yeah, they sure did.
not as a punishment.
Are you sure? Because I felt like I was being punished real bad. I was just like, what?
Yeah, they threw us in a closet, a music closet, and they threw a music teacher in there, like one of our vocal coaches, and they had her teach us the music for the women's chorus or choir. Was it the All City or something like that?
I can't remember. So either All City or All State or something. Well, no, that was
All Region. Maybe.
All Region.
Yeah, it was All Region. Yeah, so we had to learn this music for All Region since we didn't make the cut for All State. And so it was like, I think it was us two and maybe another person. I think it was like three people.
It was a small room.
It was very small, and I think there was another person.
And
then
it was three. We had a really good voice teacher then too. And so shout out to her,
Ms. Roberts.
Yes. But yeah, so I mean, ultimately we were practicing the same stuff. We were both very upset about All State. I remember that was something we bonded over.
We were both talking shit about the people who made it. Let's be real. We're like, oh, no, I'm kidding.
How dare y'all?
But also kind of like our humor can be a little deprecating sometimes. Yeah. And so we were just like talking shit about ourselves too. And we were just like, no, you know what? It's cool. Like, we can do this. Like, we'll just make this choir and it'll be fine. And sure honestly, when people say things happen for a reason, things happen for a reason. Yeah. Like, if I would have made All State, or if you would have made All State, who would have known? Like,
we would have connected,
right? We probably wouldn't have been friends. And so the fact that we met in that little closet and we were just thrown together and like learn this music,
and we would always stand next to each other sometimes. Like, whenever
were we always soprano twos too?
Yeah. I went in as a soprano one, and I really like figured it out that I was not that. So soprano two, you know, that's where we were, and we would, like I said, we would always stand next to each other. I have videos of us like standing right next to each other, and it didn't matter what we were doing, like choir, yeah. But I think they put you in the middle because we were shorter.
And I'm really tall, so that makes sense.
No, but it's been good. And then Colorado was our very first trip together,
and we roomed together. We just like sat next to each other, I think, on the bus too.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been knowing each other since high school. I remember just being like, okay, if I'm not alone, like, it'll be okay. Yeah. You know, there's somebody else here that is in the same boat as me, so we were able to like relate and like immediately just be able to like talk about anything and everything. I think because we were both in a space of like, well, this is it. Like, I guess I am worthy, but at least I'm not alone, like, during this whole
And to me,
process.
That's crazy, dude, because in my head, on my side of things, I'm like, I hope she likes me. Like, I hope she's cool. Like, the fact that I didn't grow up the same way. Like, our friends, too. Our friends, they grew up just like you.
That's true.
And, you know, it always felt like, and you never made me feel like I was an outsider, but I made myself feel that way because I was just so worried about fitting in and, like, I'm Mexican too. Like, I can do this. I know I could do this. Right. And like I said, when you influenced me, you did, you know, there's a lot of appreciation and respect because I would have never joined Latin American Ensemble because I always felt like I was not enough of a Hispanic person.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Your point of view and my point of view. We were both wanting the same thing and hoping that it was going to go well. And sure enough, God was like, no, I put y'all together for a reason. You know?
Yeah, no. And I was telling one of your students, actually, because I was here last week at the Vibrant Rhythms show that you have going on here at the Epic, that I actually never won a single competition that I entered, ever. Like, ever. Yeah. That's being America's Got Talent. I auditioned for that. And I came so close to making the All-State Choir my senior year of high school, but all through the 4 years, never made anything happen. And then there was like a battle of the bands that I went in with Sabor Puro, didn't win, and there was only 2 bands. So like, you know, it's one of those things that like, regardless of the failure, it doesn't define where your career is going to go, and it doesn't define your talent or who you are as a musician, as an artist, as a person. And so, yeah, that definitely takes me back to that first time we didn't make it, and just being like, okay, we have a support system, we have a friend who is here with us. There really isn't anything that is going to stop us from becoming who we need to become or who
Exactly.
we're
Yep.
meant to become. And it took me a long time to realize that these are just experiences for us to grow and just get better in our craft.
Yeah.
And like now, every time I perform with Sabor Puro, it's like I'm on the main stage every time, regardless if I am on like just a 4x8
Or
stage
like
or an actual big stage, like at the State Fair.
Yep. No, dude, for real, because like I keep telling people, like they need to come see you perform. You can see videos and you can see pictures, but you're there. Paola's putting on a show. She is
Yeah.
gonna come to you. She's gonna sing to you. If you're
I will
recording
make you feel
her,
uncomfortable.
yeah. But that's part of it. That's part of the show. It's not so much being uncomfortable. It's like the creativity and the art is movable, right?
Right.
It
Yeah.
moves.
And I tell everybody with that, it's like the audience is just as much a part of the performance as the artist or the musician on stage. And so I had to like drive that point, because not only are we looking for the artistry and the passion, but like how much can you engage us? And so I
Yeah.
had to talk to one of your students about that. It's like, you guys were awesome, but like
Yeah.
I needed a little bit more
Just give me more
engagement. Just
passion.
give me more
More
passion.
passion. More feeling. Well, no, I really enjoyed having you as a celebrity judge, because she was one of our celebrity judges of the night. Just a little bit about Vibrant Rhythms. It's a showcase. It's so much, not so much a talent show, because I don't want people to kind of go off of that, but it's a talent show meets an open mic night, and then we have a winner at the end of the day. It's not a cash prize. It is something to do with the Epic. As of right now, basically we're gonna have a showcase of the three winners for the summer. So we already have one in June. We just got our next one in July, and then we have one more showcase audition in August. And then after those three, we're going to do a bigger showcase where they each get their time to perform on stage. It's going to be broadcasted live, so audio and visual, just like how our podcast is going to be, because it's going to be part of our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then in between each person's performance, Paola and I will be doing a interview with them, so that you get more of who they are rather than just them singing, them performing in a band, them doing their talent, right? I think it's super important for people to have a space, for up and coming artists to have a space to perform, whether they win the competition or not, because winning is not so much the biggest deal. As you were saying earlier, it creates bonds with people, like how we created a bond, but it also gets your jitters out.
Yeah.
And the way to do it is just to apply, just to sign up,
expose yourself
in the
put
most
yourself out there,
professional way possible.
Yeah, don't go to jail by exposing yourself.
But they also get to have 2 hours in the recording studio at the Epic, for them to create their own music. Huge. So whether it's a cover song, whether it's an original song, come on out. So Paola is right in the sense that, not winning something or just not getting into a competition or anything like that, that's not the end game. It's not the end of the world. Ultimately, this is to give y'all a platform and to use free audio, free visuals for your content, to create something for yourself. I think, and I hate saying kids nowadays, but I got to. People nowadays,
girl,
they want to see cash, or they want to see something come out of it. Well, you have to create it for yourself. That's what you did with your band. That's what I did with mine. And ultimately, the people that are here to help, this is the prize in itself of having free material, and free then content, free time in the recording studio. That stuff you won't get outside of this area.
Yeah, so ultimately we're here to help upcoming artists do their thing, just because like we've been in those shoes. Like we've started from nothing. we've started from losing competitions and now professionals
and
at
now
what we do.
performing as a resident artist.
Yeah,
in
at
the
the state fair. Yeah, I'll tell you more about it once we're closer to the fair season.
Oh, that's gonna be some fun.
Yeah,
that's gonna be so much fun.
I'm excited. I'm excited to take you guys along as well. But yeah, like we were saying, just like God always has a purpose and a reason for us to come together, and the fact that we're now doing a podcast together after
so many years,
so many different endeavors that we've both done together and apart.
Yeah,
it's like somehow our paths always continue to cross, and I'm excited to embark on this one with you because it's definitely a dream come true. And for you guys listening, thank y'all so much for just lending your ear to us, two girls from Texas, just weeding around and having a little banter here and there, you know.
Yep. And definitely stick around. You know, we're going to be doing these podcasts weekly every Thursday. Every Thursday you'll be able to hear what's in our brains and
and not only our brains, but we're also going to have different people come in, like we said before, and we're gonna interview them. We have a few people lined up. I'm excited to share who they are, what they're up to, how they're helping their community, or just enlightening us with their talent. So y'all stay tuned.
Yes, definitely stay tuned. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We will be getting a YouTube page as well as a TikTok page. And see you next week.